स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Namaste to everyone and a very warm welcome to you. I'm Karuna Mohan. I'm a member of the Executive Committee of the Arya Pratinidhi Sabha, and I work in the Vedniketan, the intellectual arm of the Arya Pratinidhi Sabha. We attend to the publications, the publicity, the public lectures like this one, the graded examinations in Hinduism, and of course, we do an annual deep dawn request to everybody so that we can actually continue the good work we do. I was appointed to moderate this year's lectures to enable us to consolidate the outcomes and share them widely. This year, we commemorate 100 years of the Arya Pratinidhi Sabha in South Africa in the Back to the Veda lecture series. And this set of lectures replaces the need to have a physical conference for the 100-year celebration. That's been the normal trend, but we decided this year to actually look at this. And I must thank Usha Devi Prasad, the past chairperson of the Vedniketan, who had the foresight to actually set up in Vedniketan the Back to the Veda lectures. And in 2023, all these lectures for 2025 were planned. And I think last year she approached a number of the speakers, including the current speaker that we have for today. Now, these lecture series were organized around the theme past, present, and future. And while the Arya Samaj celebrates 100 years of existence in South Africa, this year internationally, we're celebrating 150 years of the Arya Samaj. We looked at the early history as a sub-theme, and we are deeply thankful to all the intellectuals and lecturers who came through to share their research and highlight their views on the leaders, the trailblazers who gave form and shape to the Arya Samaj. To chart the path in the future, we've been looking at what does it mean to be a member of the Arya Samaj. Of course, the Arya Samaj has been at the forefront of grappling with current issues, current conditions facing society in all the epochs that it's existed. And it has worked on the common good of all. It has focused on building institutions such as schools, to educate the children in South Africa, on caring for orphans and the aged, and it's also united Hindus in the formation of the South African Hindu Mahasabha. It's looked at how to promote and preserve the Hindu religion and called for the recognition of religious rights. It's also set up or established the Hindi Shiksha Sangh to promote language and culture, and it set up the Aryan Benevolent Home. And so the Arya Samaj has had a hand and influence and shaped the future of South Africa for more than 100 years. This lecture goes back into the past to get a glimpse of what does it mean to be a member of the Arya Samaj when it comes to tackling social ills in society. We will also try and focus on the future and consider what current social ills are, and hopefully this will help us and give us a pathway to the future to build on the legacy of the Arya Samaj. It gives me immense pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce you to Dr. Shamin Mahabeer, who is a member of the Arya Samaj and who has assisted the Aryan Benevolent Home to collate their recent publication on the 100-year history. Shamin is a medical doctor with the specialist qualification in both chemical pathology. So all the blood tests we do and all the urine samples we give, Shamin finds some very interesting things in that. And she's also an expert on family medicine. She is currently at Lancet. All of you know that's the laboratories, and she plays a critical role in analysis of very simple little drops of blood, little samples of urine, and maybe also the stools, which tells her a lot about what is wrong with us. She has other interests other than being a medical professional. She has documented her family history and especially the early role in transport networks. We have covered that in one of our Ved Jyotis. I think it was in 2022. And she's also researched and provided to the 1860 Heritage Center a lot of detail about the furniture industry, our early industrialists in South Africa who came from the Indian community. Now, today we will hear her views on the Aryan Benevolent Home, and hopefully we'll have a discussion on what can be done to continue the legacy of the Arya Samaj on focusing on social aspects of society and the current needs of society beyond spiritual care and ministry. So over to you, Shamin.
Thank you, Karna. We can start, go to slide 1.
Sure,
please.
I'm going to do that.
Thank you.
Just going to do that. Give me a few minutes.
Thank you, Karuna. Can you hear me, Karuna?
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Wonderful. Okay. Namaste to all from the Arya Samaj, the ABH, the Ved Niketan committee members who kindly extended an invitation for this presentation, and to those who have joined us this evening. The topic for presentation is the Aryan Benevolent Home, past, present, and future. I will begin with the historical perspective of the organization. During this milestone year of the South African Arya Samaj, a series of well-crafted lectures were presented by Prof. Ghulam Vahed, Prof. Miraj, Mr. Sionath, and others. They navigated a journey from the mid-1800s onwards about the inception and growth of the Samaj and the heritage of the Indian diaspora in South Africa. The history of the APS, the Arya Samaj, and the ABH was a shared history until 1959, with the same members populating these organizations. This has been detailed in earlier lectures. However, I would like to expand upon the evolution of relationships between the APS, the Arya Samaj, the AYS, and the ABH. Dr. Rambaros described the associations between these entities in an interview with Mr. Rajesh Lachman, then CEO of the ABH in 1983. I quote, "The APS is the custodian of the Arya Samaj group. It is involved in the propagation of Vedic culture and religion. The tenets of the Arya Samaj emphasize community work and the need for critical thinking. This occurs by community participation in prayer meetings, multicultural programs, teaching of the vernacular, and aesthetics that promote performing arts. The body enjoys an amicable relationship with neo-Hindu movements such as the Ramakrishna Center and the Divine Life Society. When the AYS was first established in 1912, the community involvement in the organization was a striking feature. I remember that our home in Bel Air Road was abuzz with activities all week. There were play rehearsals, music and religious classes, and a host of other activities. People would use public transport to travel vast distances to serve at the home. The community had a spirit of service deeply embedded within their hearts. Despite the highly motivated operations of the Sabha in the 1920s and 30s, the onset of World War II resulted in a decline of community involvement. Restrictions were imposed on movement and activities. Post-war, families were engaged in re-establishing their lives, unquote. Next slide, please. Dr. Rambaros was elected as president of the AYS in 1951. His challenge was to rekindle community involvement. He encouraged women to participate in the activities of the AYS. This yielded significant success as the welfare work at the Sabha continued and the ABH grew prolifically. Next slide, please. In the 1950s, major headwinds loomed due to the implementation of the Group Areas Act. Dr. Rambaros was elected as the president of the ABH Council. Management felt that his intellect and skills as a negotiator would be key factors in ensuring the continuity of the home. Since he was already a trustee of the AYS, this cemented the relationship between these bodies. In line with new thinking, with formidable challenges on the horizon, change also occurred within the Sabha's management. Dr. Rambaros and Pandit Naidu, the newly elected president of the AYS, facilitated new momentum, with the pace being set by younger people. This cohort combined the richness of the past with the new skill set required to face the future. Although these organizations are constitutionally separate entities today, the bonds formed over a century remain intact. Next slide, please. The next part of the presentation focuses on some aspects of the current status of the home. There are many stories of the unsung heroes who have graced the ABH over its century of existence. Success can be measured in different ways. It is tangible when a student at the home graduates from university, when a fractured family is reunited, or when a stroke victim regains functionality. However, it is the intangibles, like providing love, food, and shelter to children, or granting dignity to the elderly, that are the silent and daily successes at the home. The multitude of volunteers who sacrifice their time to help with the gardens, read to a child, or teach a skill, provide the human resources which keeps the home intact. The donors to the ABH are a diverse group. School children who raise funds, the small businessman who attends to electrical problems without remuneration, the thousands of people who donate generously via the Radiothon, the Chatsworth Fair, and the corporates who continue to sustain the home. Next slide, please. I chose to share this story to highlight how your efforts can change the life trajectory of a single individual. This is the incredible personal and academic journey of one of the most accomplished sons of the ABH, Siboniso. I quote, "I arrived at the ABH the age of 14 in 2004. It was the most important part of my development. I was given the time, space, and encouragement to grow. I recall spending hours studying at the library for my high school courses at the Monterina School. I also spent time at the AYS Computer Learning Center, learning the latest technology, which was of great help to me in the years to come, unquote. Siboniso's amazing academic career saw him matriculate at Monterina School in 2007, graduate from UKZN with an LLB in 2011, and obtain a master's degree in business law from the Université de Lyon in France. After completing his postgraduate degree, he returned to South Africa to clerk for the Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court. He attended Harvard Law School in America to obtain another master's degree in law. Siboniso presently works as a banking and finance lawyer for an international law firm located in Sandton. His message to the home on its centenary milestone was, I quote, "I know that it is hard work raising children, but in the end, it is worth it. We need safe havens like the ABH in South Africa, with its rising poverty levels, extreme hunger, large-scale homelessness, and where the family unit is continuously crumbling. Thank you for providing me with a nurturing home and many brothers and sisters. The sheer abundance of family I had around me is something I recall with much fondness. Thank you, ABH, for you have made me who I am today." Unquote. Next slide, please. Devastating violence and looting ravaged KwaZulu-Natal between the 12th to the 25th of July 2021. The impact on the home and the surrounding community was documented by Swami Guru Bhaktananda, who was a resident at the home. I quote, "There were significant consequences at the home. The initial challenge was to procure food, as we did not stock reserves for an emergency of this magnitude. Supplies to the kitchens were rationed. The first staple item depleted was bread. A group of volunteers from Chatsworth made a significant number of rotis daily. A proportion was supplied to the home, and the rest was sent to the R.K. Khan Hospital." Next slide, please. The Chatsworth area was significantly impacted by the rioting. Corporate donors identified the ABH as a distribution center for relief services to the area. Staff members were involved in the distribution of hampers to other NGOs and destitute families. There were many acts of generosity. The efforts of some donors are mentioned. The Moti Cares Foundation arrived with trucks containing pallets of supplies from Gauteng. Hampers and groceries were donated by Standard, First National, and Grindrod Banks and V&A Consulting. Bulk groceries were distributed to Fundisa Bantu in Westcliff, to the Sarva Dharma Ashram in Welbedacht, and to the local community. Next slide, please. For those in our audience this evening, these events may stir memories of the 1949 riots within our community, and you are welcome to share any experiences you may have about the ABH after this presentation. I know that the home was a safe haven for the community, as illustrated by this picture. It is during periods of trauma and suffering that the true, indomitable spirit of the ABH and the community are witnessed. Next slide, please. When contemplating the aftermath of the riots, there should be a focus on moving forward towards a more cohesive society. The words of President Nelson Mandela resonate. I quote, "Forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear. That is why it is such a powerful weapon. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, his background, or his religion. People learn to hate, and if they learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite." Unquote. I have included a similar quotation by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Next slide, please. Through the decades, there are seminal artworks that grace the walls of the ABH. Artists like Dr. Nanda Subin and Vedant Nanakchand have contributed many of these iconic treasures to the home. There are many dimensions depicted by the artist, Dr. Subin, in this mural. Some key historical elements of the ABH are portrayed. The public toilet scene that captured the attention of Mr. D.G. Satyadeva. This injustice rooted the idea of establishing a home for the vulnerable in society. The original wood and iron building that housed 3 residents. Dr. Rambaros and a nurse assisting a frail resident. Next slide, please. This mural was created by Dr. Subin after the unrest and violence that ravaged KwaZulu-Natal in 2021. These pictures show Dr. Subin painting on the entrance wall of the ABH with the completed mural on the right. It includes iconic historical figures like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Dr. Fatima Mir, Mr. Ahmed Katrada, and others. Next slide, please. This image depicts the multiple challenges facing humanity globally. A harsh lesson of the COVID-19 pandemic was, despite man-made borders that define countries, all beings are interconnected on this planet, which we continue to damage by our actions. With medical advances, many governments, like Japan, are grappling with the challenge of providing healthcare and support services to large numbers of an aging population. Individuals who fought wars for their countries, built the infrastructure that we currently enjoyed, and paid taxes during their working lives, deserve the right to be supported and treated with dignity during their vulnerable years as they age. There is an increase in authoritarian governments worldwide. Large proportions of government budgets are spent on arms to fuel conflicts, for example, in the Middle East and Ukraine. The media is harnessed to spread political agendas, and billions are lost to corruption. Societal needs like education, healthcare, and social inequities are no longer prioritized or addressed. National budget expenditure to public services and organizations like the ABH are restricted. Children, the elderly, and individuals with disabilities remain extremely vulnerable. Next slide, please. South African NGOs face numerous difficulties, including funding, compliance burdens, and a complicated political and socio-economic environment. They struggle with inadequate resources and limited administrative capacity. Additionally, NGOs face the pressure of increased scrutiny and stricter regulations, impacting their operational abilities. Those that volunteer time and resources will know that the challenges listed here are just the tip of the iceberg. Next slide, please. The centenary milestone is a time for reflection on the evolution of the ABH as an institution. It began as a wood and iron shelter in Mayville in 1921, expanded to the Salvation Army site in Cater Manor, relocated to Clayton Garden in Asherville, and residents finally settled at Diamond Garden in Chatsworth. The impact of the Group Areas Act of 1951 on the institution was negative and sustained. Despite these major challenges, the home remained resilient. The bustling campus in Chatsworth is a worthy testament to the vision of the young men of the AYS from 1921 and individuals like Dr. Rambaros. it has expanded to other provinces. Management has embraced social media to extend their footprint and market their brand nationally and internationally. It remains an institution that is deeply anchored within the community. Daily activities may include the sound of tools being used by builders, the creak of a wheelchair belonging to a disabled resident, the conversation of the cooks in the kitchen as they prepare lunch, or the laughter of children as they swim in the pool. The hustle and bustle of daily life is the symphony and the essence of the home that radiates joy and positivity. Next slide, please. Dr. Shishupal Rambaros, Honorary Life President of the ABH, in his every action, embraced the principles of the world is one family, described in the Rig Veda, and the ninth principle of the Arya Samaj, individualism and altruism. No one should be content with promoting one's good only. On the contrary, one should look for one's good in promoting the good of all. Pandit Nadev Vedlanka noted in 1993, I quote, Sri Rambharos has not confined his services to the ABH only, but has made sacrifices physically, mentally, and materially in the services of the afflicted on a broad basis in serving humanity. He spends every moment in noble work. He stands as the most likable of persons when he works with the team, as he commands much respect and affection. He is blessed with a unique temperament of understanding to get an unbiased feel of the viewpoint of others. Unquote. Next slide, please. On the occasions that Mr. Bachchan visited the home, he quietly excused himself from event formalities to maximize his time with the residents. He engaged with a great deal of compassion. He forged a bond of enduring love and respect with Dr. Rambaros. Despite a challenging schedule, he is gracious and willing to assist the home with fundraising endeavors. These efforts include writing an article for the Centenary Milestone Coffee Table Book, creating fundraising videos for our radiothon, and addressing the audience with an ode to Dr. Rambaros at the Centenary fundraiser at the ICC. He receives adulation from billions of people as a global superstar. But the character traits he exhibits in his commitment and generosity to the home make him a true humanitarian. Next slide, please. Finally, I am eternally grateful to my dad, Mr. Bobby Mahabeer, who was involved in various projects at the Arya Samaj, the ABH, Hindi Siksha Sangh, Saha Business Forum, the UKZN Westfield Temple, and the Vedic Mandir in Lawn Street. On a personal level, I was fortunate to observe the commitment of my father to philanthropy. He came from humble beginnings, and when he achieved success in business, did not forget his ancestry or the plight of the vulnerable in society. I'm grateful to my parents for embracing the principles of gender equality and affording me infinite life opportunities. Last slide. The story of the inception, growth, and evolution of the home from its humble origins as a wood and iron structure to the national institution existing today is an inspiring one. The organization has been the recipient of generosity from the community, corporate donors, foundations, schools, and small businesses. A striking example of how one individual can be the vector of monumental change is documented by the life journey of Dr. Rambaros. He noted at the 80th anniversary of the AYS, I quote, I am a firm believer in the potential of youth. I believe that they have the capabilities to meet any challenge if we, the older generation, have the courage to believe in them. unquote. This secular organization has survived many headwinds through its century of existence. The home focuses on creating an environment of warmth, support, and character building, thus providing the vulnerable with the skills to embrace opportunities and enhance society. Thank you. Thank you, Karuna.
Thank you very much, Shamin. That was really a real life story that comes through. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, we now open for discussion, for comments, for anyone who wants to share their views.
So Karuna, if there's anyone in the audience that has experience or knowledge of the 1949 riots, I would really like them to share their experiences, because when I was writing the coffee table book, I had difficulty in getting information about the role of the ABH during that period. And I know that it was quite significant. So if we have anyone in our audience, that would be really, it would be great if they could share that with us.
Sure. Let's hear what people have to say, if there's anybody. Here's a point in chat. Right. Is there anybody? I know Hiralal Bhai is on. Hiralal Bhai, is there anything you remember? Do you want to unmute?
May I come in?
Sure, please do.
I can't go back as far back as 1949, but from the 1980s, I have been associated with the Aryan Benevolent Home. At that time, they allowed the learners to go home during the school holidays. And once they turned 18, they were allowed to go out, to fend for themselves. So I know of about 6 of them personally. They are grandparents now. And it was because of the foundation that they got at the homes, the love, the care. They were able to build their own homes. They have have been able to bring up their children so well. So my hat's off to this institution for all that it has done and it is still doing.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Reshmaji. Shamim, I don't think there's anybody who has been around or has been delving into the 1949 riots. So other than Praveen Bhai, who's on, I'm not too sure. And there's Hiralal Bhai, who was really strongly associated with the ABH, with Clayton Gardens, with the Anath Ashram. And then there's Professor Brij Maharaj on, who has looked at some parts of the history, although he's a geographer. I'm not too sure that we've got anybody who can. It's an under-researched area and it would need to be looked at.
Okay, thanks, Karuna.
Okay, let's open it up. We're talking about what does it mean to be a member of the Arya Samaj, and the ABH is a living example of what it means to be a member of the Arya Samaj. And I think Uncle Shishupal really embodied that in terms of how he encouraged youth and how he actually put everything in place. And he probably gave his entire life to the ABH and to the Arya Samaj.
Absolutely.
Are
I
there
think-
any
Yeah, for sure.
contributions from people? Shamim, I'd like to ask you a question, and that is that the ABH went through a very interesting transformation where it, as South Africa became non-racial, or as the society opened up, it no longer served just the Indian population. It opened up to other race groups. Is there anything you'd like to say, or if there's anybody else who's been involved in the ABH, they want to speak about it? Because if you look at the transformation or the change in South Africa, that period, late 80s, early 90s, was really a turning point. And in the history of the ABH, what do you have on that?
So Karuna, the ABH has been a secular organization since inception. And, in the coffee table book, the early part of the book, we actually have newspaper articles which praised it for this very element, that although its foundation was through a religious body, the vision from the outset was that it would be open to the population, to the diverse South African population, irrespective of their religious affiliation or their race. And, it remained mainly as a service related entity until the early 1980s, when Dr. Rambaros was part of a delegation that went to the ANC. There was a big ANC meeting in Lusaka, and he participated, or he was an attendee there, and participated with many of the activists who were banned and out of the country at that stage. And there was a crucial mindset in his thinking when he returned to South Africa after that meeting. And the ABH was one of the first institutions that threw its doors open to Nelson Mandela when he was newly released from prison. He presented a talk to the community at Chatsworth at the Pattendine Theatre. So really, the ABH has evolved as our society has evolved, and the key role players there have always reached out to the community, listened to the needs of the population, and imbibed the principles into the institution through time. Thank you, Karma.
Thank you, Shamim. Okay, I say nobody wants to ask you any questions, or nobody wants to say anything.
Sorry, can I just come in and contribute a bit?
Sure, please go ahead. You are.
Hans.
Go ahead, Hans.
Okay, I don't have much information about the current topic, but I have sufficient data that I can contribute to from the past ages, the past ages to the present age. I think if a topic like this comes up, then yes, I have sufficient information that I could contribute and educate society at the same time. Coming to the Aryan Benevolent Home, yes, lots have been heard in the past, and there were lots of things, good things done. But the question arises is, why hasn't the Aryan Benevolent Home expanded since inception? The introduction was very strong, and but the current stage is that we don't hear much improvement. So why hasn't the Aryan Benevolent Home expanded to other parts of KwaZulu-Natal or the country at large? So let's hear what your take on that.
So Hans, I think we need to correct something. The Aryan Benevolent Home existed in Pietermaritzburg way before the Durban Aryan Benevolent Home came about. In fact, that was the first Arya Anath ashram in the country. It is still in existence. And in fact, the Kiran Bhai, who's here, has recently done a function for them for their new premises that they're building. They have both Sunlit Gardens orphanage in Pietermaritzburg as well as an old age home. So that was set up by the Arya Samaj, but the management of it over the years has been with a broader committee of the community. There's a number of other Aryan Benevolent Homes, one in Johannesburg, Indonesia, one in Glencoe. So it's not like it's just set up only there. So I think the issue really is the community spirit and whether you get people. Nadira wants to say something. I think before we move on, Nadira, I know, is from Cape Town. Nadira, please go ahead, unmute and speak.
Thank you. Namaste, everyone. I'd just like to point out that I live in Cape Town, and it's about 5 years now I've joined the working committee of the Aryan Benevolent Home here in the Western Cape. We have a lovely community of about 17 members who are doing monthly seva projects, and we're trying to establish some home here. This organization here in Cape Town is running for like 30 years now, but we haven't been able to establish a home. So that is one of our broader visions. But just to make everyone aware that we have a lovely working committee here, and it keeps us busy with our monthly seva projects. But the reason I actually joined the Aryan Benevolent Home here was I can still remember going to the Mayville Aryan Benevolent Home with my Nani and Nana, who were doing voluntary work there. And to Clayton Gardens, my Nani was Pandita D. Singh. So she did Hawans every Sunday at the Clayton Gardens there. So I think with all of that, in my blood, being brought up by Nani and Nana, it gives me great pleasure to continue this work here, with the ABH in the Western Cape. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Nadira.
Thank you for that information. Sorry to come in.
Sorry, Hans. I think we still have the Kiran Bhai who wants to say something, and then let's wrap up with you after him. Kiran Bhai, please come in.
Yeah, thank you, Karuna. And firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Shamin Mahabeer for a beautiful presentation and also for disseminating so much of information. I know she was also responsible for the coffee table book. But I would just like to say that the Aryan Benevolent Home has evolved over many years. And as you know, the history from Cato Manor and then based in Chatsworth, that is where the main center is. But I think we also need to look at the progress over the years And also it is also linked up with the state at the moment. So although it has got a huge Arya Samaj tag to it, but it's also run and it's also funded to a certain extent by the state and also from the community, where fundraising is being done on a regular basis. But when you look at the history of the homes and the successes that came out in the one example that was exposed this evening, I'm sure there are many other stories that one could reflect on. I would just like to say that the Dates Foundation also was responsible for creating a nursing college, and that was also one of the milestones where nurses were able to be trained and to go out and then serve in the homes, and also at the same time get qualifications and to also serve in the hospitals, the nearby hospitals. But if one visits the Aryan Benevolent Home presently, you will find that we have a modern, updated home for the children and for the youth. And they have about close on to 100 young people, male and female residents in the youth section. We've had negative press, which I think was overplayed. And after investigations, you will find that the homes is running very successfully. It has its challenges like many other institutions, but you will see, and if one takes time to just visit even the orphanage part of it, you will be amazed with the quality of the residents, the work that is being done with the youngsters. And I must say that the Aryan Benevolent Home in Pietermaritzburg, although it's not directly linked to the ABH in Durban, it is known as the Aryan Benevolent Society, has also grown from strength to strength. And they have a new premises which is housing the 35 or 40 odd residents in a very modern environment. The orphanage Sunlit Gardens is also well run. So it is a labor of love by the social workers, by the officials that give that extra mile towards the successes of these SEVA projects. So here again, I would like to just say from Arya Samaj South Africa, we are proudly associated with the Aryan Benevolent Home. And the Aryan Yuvik Sabha AYS is an affiliate of the Arya Pratinidhi Sabha. And that has been a long-standing relationship. And I think that will still grow from strength to strength. Thank you, Dr. Shamin, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Shamin, is there something you'd like to add to this discussion around the national character of the Aryan Benevolent Home?
Karana, I think Mr. Sulal is with us. So it would be really great if he could give us a little bit of insight into the ABH in Indonesia and what the organization does for that community. If he's comfortable to do so.
Actually, there's a request. There's an appeal from two very beautiful women. Please help us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Karuna?
now.
Hello, Namaste Karuna and Namaste Shamin.
Namaste, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, insofar as when one talks about the Aryan Benevolent Home and the Arya Sabha, it resembles the history of this country. It's just not a religious organization, and it's just not a welfare organization. The Arya Sabha has been very, very concerned about the history of the organization, and therefore, when you go back, looking at the history of the AYS and the formed somewhere in 1912, one forgets the history before 1912. What went on and what was preceding after 1912. One looks at the 1913 area, the period. Now, that is when the Arya Sabha came into being and saw that it has a duty to perform in developing this country. Now, one may say, Aryan Benevolent Home only started introducing integrated or interracial approach now. It's a big mistake. There were a number of people that belong to the white community, to the black community, who's been part of the organization from inception. But the laws of the country did not allow the APH or the AYS to really project these people because the funding was a big issue. Now, I remember way back in the 1980s when we started admitting black kids, so I don't like to use that word, but just for the purpose of the meeting, black kids and white kids as well. And the problem that the APH faced at that time was there was a government, and it's surprising, it was the House of Delegates that will say, no, you cannot admit other children because the funding is exclusively for Indian children. Despite that kind of tall order from the government, APH still dared to take on children, old people from other race groups, and privately funded them through community conscious people who felt there was a need to have them with our people, and they will find private funding which the government will not be able to question. Now, you would recall in the 1980s, there was 2 young girls that came from Britain and were dumped in this country. Sorry to use the term, but dumped. That's exactly what happened to these 2 girls. And they were dumped here in Gauteng. And today, both the girls are grandmothers. We had to get these 2 girls to Durban by bus overnight. And believe it or not, the next day, Mr. Radbansi got to know about it, and he marched on to ABH. You bring in these people in here, who is going to fund them? Yet again, the ABH took that risk. And look at the time when somebody mentioned about Rambarus going to Lusaka and other places and really brought some kind of consciousness as to where the country is going to. Yes, it is true. And today, APH is a fully, I would say, integrated community. Now in Gauteng, when I say fully integrated, somebody wants to know what's happening in Gauteng. Yes, we have 50-odd children in Gauteng spread over 3 cottages. And our board also is transformed. We have members of the black community on our board, together with our Indian counterparts. And we have no problem. So I think the ABH has been, an example to many welfare organizations in the country, particularly in the 1980s, when Bhai Rambarus served on several interministerial committees on the aged and the children. Now, very few people understand the role that ABH had played in developing, in basically the interface from the old South Africa to the new South Africa. And people don't understand the role that ABH had played. There were people from the board. Just recently, we were talking about the Child Care Act of 1989. The Child Care Act of 1989, the section on children's homes, was developed at the Aryan Benevolent Home and then taken across to the Interministerial Committee to say what were the recommendations coming from the Aryan Benevolent Home itself, and it was included in the Act. So, not taking much more of your time, just a overcap of what the ABH means to this country and means to the people of this country. ABH enjoys a very, very high respect from all people who are involved in welfare work in this country. It really was a trend setter in the 1980s when people were thinking what the new South Africa will hold in terms of social welfare services for the children and for the aged. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hilal Bhai. Friends, we're coming to the close of the meeting. But before we do so, I'd like to ask Shamin to share with everybody how they could actually get their hands on a copy of the book that she helped develop for the Aryan Benevolent Home?
So Karuna, I think it's an opportune moment to mention Mr. Naren Patandeen at this stage, the conclusion. He really was the architect of the Centenary Coffee Table book. Yes, I was the author together with Dr. Thakur, but it was his brainchild. And, you know, he also was the CEO at the time of the Arya Samaj, the ABH turning 100 years. And his vision and the attention, the home grew prolifically during that period. And so our thoughts go to his family during this period, and we remember him with much gratitude. So Karna, just remind me what your question was.
Where can they get hold of the book? And
okay.
Yeah.
So Mr. Patani, Naren Patandeen's vision for the book was that a certain proportion of them would be sold to the public for fundraising purposes, which was done. But he wanted almost 2/3 of the book. We printed 1,000 copies through the generosity of donors. All those books have been distributed throughout South Africa through the Arya Samaj network. And thank you so much to the Arya Samaj who assisted us in the distribution of the coffee table book. Some of you purchased it. Thank you so much. That went directly into the coffers of the home. But the large proportion of books have been distributed to the Arya Samaj affiliates, and I hope that most Arya Samaj families now already have a copy of the book in their possession, because almost all of them have been distributed at this stage.
Okay, thank you so much, Shami. Friends, we've come to the close of this session. And before Reshmaji closes the event with prayer, she deals with the reference library in Harbottle Road in our headquarters. And I'm sure she's going to tell us that she does have a copy of the book there. So if anybody has not received the book and still wants to read it, it is available at the Arya Samaj headquarters. Our next lecture will be on Wednesday, the 20th of August at 7 p.m. And for those of you who were active in the 80s, 20th of August was the day on which the UDF actually had its massive rally in 1983. Very interesting date, very fortuitous. We will be having Nishan Balton, who hails from Johannesburg, to speak at this lecture. And it's still within the theme of what does it mean to be a member of the Arya Samaj. And it's looking at the present and charting the future. And Nishan will be speaking to us about the South African dilemma of inequality and identity. I think Shamim has tipped on some of the issues, in her speech, but Nishan will move into a lot more detail on those things. So everybody is welcome to please join us on the 20th of August at 7 p.m. Thank you. Reshmaji, could we please ask you to close us off with prayer then?
Yes, just before I do, we do have just a few of the coffee table book left in the office. So if there's anyone here that requires it at 87 Harbottle Road, we'll gladly give that to you. So let us end. Om Dhyau ShantirantarikshamShanti Prithivi Shantarapah Shantir Shanti Vanaspatayah Shantirvishve Devah Shantirbrahma Shanti Sarvam Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shantiredhi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste.
Namaste to all, and thank you for attending our lecture.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you.